In Africa, a wave of protests continues to surge, from Kenya to Tunisia to Angola, and recently a protest that seems to establish the reverse in history. Ghana is chanting Nigeria must go. Just a moment while Africa celebrates the victory of the Super Falcons. How weighty is this move? Are these units of protesters sponsored? Now, in another development, we see that Thailand and Cambodia reached a ceasefire agreement this week. But then, what's the next move? As we delve into the details, these and many more will be explored in today's Flash News. Good afternoon and welcome. I am Tabitha Akro. Let's begin. Thailand and Cambodia have agreed to an immediate and unconditional ceasefire aimed at ending recent border clashes following mediation talks hosted by Malaysia. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim announced the development on Monday after high-level discussions in Putrajaya involving Cambodia's Prime Minister Hun Manet and Thailand's acting Prime Minister Homtam Wichayachai. Now, let's have this video where they are actually together. Let's take a look. Now, right there, the prime ministers. The meeting marks a significant diplomatic step toward de-escalating tensions between the two Southeast Asian neighbors who have been embroiled in renewed skirmishes along their shared border. Meanwhile, the broader tensions has taken a good ease as military commanders from Thailand and Cambodia held direct talks on Tuesday, bringing calmness to their disputed border. Just a day after a ceasefire agreement ended the region's most intense fighting in over a decade. The 5-day conflict displaced more than 300,000 people and left at least 40 dead, mostly civilians. Monday's ceasefire brokered during a leaders' summit in Malaysia, which was expected to bring immediate relief, though Thai authorities reported early Tuesday that Cambodian forces had allegedly violated the deal at 5 locations. Now, however, Cambodia's defense ministry denied the claims, maintaining that its forces had observed the ceasefire since it came into effect at midnight. Despite the accusations, military leaders from both nations met at the frontier to reaffirm the deal. According to Thai military officials, both sides agreed to cease troop movement to support the evacuation of casualties and also to establish 4-person coordination teams to handle any arising disputes. Also, Cambodian officials echoed the need for cooperation and also highlighted the importance of international monitoring to ensure compliance with the terms agreed upon in Malaysia. And also in Thailand's Ceasefire province near the front lines, traffic and commercial activity began to pick up, with some residents returning to reopen businesses. On the Cambodian side, displaced villagers in Other Mintai province awaited clearance from authorities before they are returning to their homes. Tensions between the two Southeast Asian nations reignited after the killing of a Cambodian soldier in late May. This is a breakdown of the history as to regards the escalation of this conflict, escalating into a military standoff. Monday's peace accord followed efforts by Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim and the United States President Donald Trump to prevent further violence. Trump had earlier warned that the United States trade talks with both nations would stall if hostilities continues. Let's take a listen.
Going to be coming in at some point to talk. I said, well, let's call them right now. So I called the prime ministers of each. And I said, we're not going to make a trade deal unless you settle the war. A lot of people are killed, you know that, in a short period of time. The border, they're fighting pretty like wild. And I spoke to both of the prime ministers, and I think by the time I got off, I think they want to settle now.
Still on, both Thailand and Cambodia are currently negotiating tariff reductions with the United States, which has imposed duties of up to 36% on their exports. Following the ceasefire, the United States signaled readiness to resume trade talks. Thai Finance Minister Pichai Chonghavajira said negotiations with the United States are expected to conclude before August 1st, with a likely easing of tariffs. Now, experts have urged sustained third-party engagement to ensure the fragile ceasefire holds. Analysts warn that without monitoring and continued diplomatic pressure, underlying hostilities could resurface. But then we hope that this ceasefire takes immediate effect in the coming days, and then these whole issues of devastating situations comes to an end. Now, moving over still in Africa, in a breaking news, Nigeria's women's national football team received a rousing reception in Abuja on Monday following their victory at the 2025 Women's Africa Cup of Nations, WAFCON. The Super Falcons defeated host nation Morocco 3-2 in a dramatic comeback during Saturday's final, securing their 10th continental title, a record-extending achievement. President Bola Tinubu hosted the team at the State House, commending their resilience and performance despite the long-standing institutional challenges facing Nigerian sports. Let's take a listen.
You have inspired millions, especially young girls, who now see the proof that their dreams are valid and achievable. You inspired me too.
Then Indian the body to its feet.
On behalf of the grateful nation, I hereby conferred on the players the 11-man technical team with national honor of officer.
Great recommendations from the president right there, drawing a spore of celebration. But then, for years, the Super Falcons had struggled with unpaid bonuses, inadequate facilities, and limited support. In 2022, they staged a training boycott to protest delayed payment. Even during their current campaign in Morocco, the backlog of allowances was only approved by the presidency just days before the final. In addition, the financial hurdles. The team lacked access to competitive friendlies and basic training kits. Such setbacks are part of a wider issue in Nigerian sports, often plagued by underfunding, corruption, and poor governance factors that have led many athletes to seek representation under other national flags. Rashidat Ajibade, in her speech, raised these concerns. Let's take a listen.
We are not content to rest on our laurels. Our vision is bold. We want to become the best women's football team in the world. We dreamed of standing at the top of the global stage, not just as competitors, but as champions. But to achieve this, we humbly seek the continued and enhanced support of the Nigerian Football Federation, Sport Ministry, and the federal government. With your partnership, we can have world-class training facilities, and we'll be able to prepare in the best way possible and create a pathway for the next generation of Super Falcons to soar even higher.
Despite these obstacles, Nigeria's women's football team has maintained dominance in Africa. Their early investment in sport, with the establishment of the continent's first women's football league in 1978, gave them a head start. However, analysts argue that this early momentum has not translated into consistent global success, pointing to missed opportunities by sports authorities to build on their continental legacy. The Super Falcons' latest triumph is both a celebration of their talent and also a reminder of the urgent need for structural reform in Nigerian sports, and not just Nigerian sports, in Africa at large. Now, still in Nigeria, we got this report, maybe a historical one. While celebrating the victory of the Super Falcons, a wave of anti-Nigerian protests has erupted in Ghana, reviving painful memories of past explosions and threatening regional diplomacy in West Africa. The protesters chanting Nigeria must go are demanding stricter immigration policies and the expulsion of Nigerian nationals, many of whom have lived and worked peacefully in Ghana for years. Take a look.
So Nigerians must go. The government, the politicians have to do something about it. If they know that they have taken money from Nigerians, they better return it and do something about it. And the immigrations, they should stop giving Nigerians Ghana passport. They should stop.
Nigeria, all the other foreigners in our beloved country, Ghana, we said Nigeria and all other foreigners must go. Nigeria, all the other foreigners in our beloved country, Ghana, we said Nigeria and all other foreigners must go.
On your screen, you can clearly see that the protests appear rooted in economic dissatisfaction, with some Ghanaians blaming Nigerians for rising unemployment and competition in the informal sector. However, the rhetoric and tone of the protests have raised concerns of xenophobia and collective punishment. Now, a lot of viewers and protesters have taken some views on these issues. Let's take a listen.
So Nigerians must go. The government, the politicians have to do something about it. If they know that they have taken money from Nigerians, they better return it and do something about it. And the immigrations, they should stop giving Nigerians Ghana passport. They should stop.
To Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Is he a diplomat? Is he in Ghana working on a diplomatic mission? So is he an ambassador? Exactly. So the president should take action. The president should have addressed the state by now. The president should have spoken to us. The president was given address all around, speaking about things that does not matter. Ghanaians are dying. The president does not care. Interior minister does not care. Foreign Affairs does not care. Parliament does not care. Only you and I care. God bless us.
They are fighting this thing. We are not fighting Nigerians. No. We have Nigerian friends. We have most of them. Some of them are good. But we are fighting the ideology that he said he's creating a kingdom. If you understand kingdom, Ghana, we have only one kingdom, which is the Ashanti kingdom. We either have to deport him or we stop him.
The Ghanaians are pouring out their dissatisfaction. But then, is history repeating itself in the reverse? We see that the irony is striking. In 1983, Nigeria expelled over 2 million undocumented West Africans, primarily Ghanaians, under the infamous Alien Compliance Order. That policy severely affected Ghana's economy and social stability. Similarly, Ghana had expelled Nigerians and other West Africans in 1969 under Prime Minister Kofi Boussaï, an act that fueled decades of animosity. Now, if Ghana yields to the protesters' demands, it risks undermining the ECOWAS Economic Community of West African States Protocol on Free Movement, to which it is a signatory. Such actions could provoke retaliatory policies from Nigeria, whose economic and diplomatic weight in West Africa remains significant. Nigeria's measured response thus far should not be mistaken for indifference. Analysts warn that any escalation could affect trade, bilateral relations, and Ghana's international image as a stable democracy and Pan-African leader. Our political actors in Ghana exploiting nationalist sentiment for domestic gain ahead of elections or economic reforms. While President Nana Akufo-Addo's government faces a diplomatic test, will it uphold Ghana's tradition of tolerance and regional cooperation, or bow to nationalist pressure that could spiral into deeper conflict? Ghanaians and Nigerians alike may have to look inwards on the deeper implications of this movement. Now, still in Africa, a disheartening situation and a new development. Let's take our attention to the Democratic Republic of Congo. A disastrous attack on a church in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has left at least 43 people dead, according to the United Nations peacekeeping mission. The Islamic State militant group has claimed the responsibility for the assault. The attack occurred at dawn on Sunday in the village of Komanda, roughly 75 kilometers from Bunai, the provincial capital of Ituri. Armed militants reportedly aligned with the Islamic State stormed the church during a night mass, killing worshippers with guns and machetes. Dozens of homes and shops were also set ablaze, and several people were taken captive. Islamic State, however, made a claim on its Telegram channel stating that around 45 churchgoers were killed in the raid. A disheartening one. The United Nations mission in Congo, known as the MONUSCO, confirmed the death of at least 43 people, including 19 women and 9 children. It condemned the massacre, attributing it to the Allied Democratic Forces, a group linked to Islamic State. Originally from Uganda, the ADF is now active in the mineral-rich eastern region of Congo, where various armed groups continue to destabilize the region. Still on this case, Pope Leo offered condolences to victims, families, and the Christian community, expressing solidarity with those affected. Now, in recent protests moving on in Africa, having so much surge, this is Angola. Protests over a sharp increase in diesel prices turned violent in Angola's capital, Luanda, on Monday, with local media reporting fatalities, arrests, looting, and confrontations between civilians and security forces. The Southern African oil-producing nation increased the price of diesel by 1/3 earlier this month as part of a broader effort to reduce fuel subsidies and also to improve its public finances. The move is part of a long-standing government plan to gradually eliminate subsidies that, according to the Finance Ministry, accounted for around 4% of the country's GDP last year. In response to the price hike, minibus taxi associations raised fares by up to 50% and launched a 3-day strike beginning Monday. The resulting transportation paralysis intensified public anger and sparked unrest across Luanda. According to the Novo Journal newspaper, at least 3 people were killed during the protests, including 1 police officer. The report described chaotic scenes, with demonstrators erecting barricades, clashing with security forces, and looting shops. In an effort to restore order, police fired tear gas, used smoke grenades, and discharged shots into the air. The police confirmed the incident of looting across the city and said arrests had been made, though they did not specify the number of detainees. This is not just the first time Angola has faced unrest over fuel price reforms. A petrol price hike in 2023 also led to violent demonstrations and loss of life. Angola's finance minister previously told the Reuters in October that the government would proceed with subsidy removals in phases, despite growing public discontent and economic hardship. Now, this has been a protest that's been surging in Africa, and this time it's in Angola. But we hope that the government does what is necessary at this time before this gets out of control. Until next time, this is where we'll be drawing the curtain on today's Flash News. Remember, we'll be bringing you untold stories on Undaunted at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Until then, do have a pleasant day and stay safe.